Hi, this is my deviance response video. The question was, why do I think deviance occurs? I think it's a natural byproduct of society, and as we progress, it's bound to be that some people are going to think differently than other people. Sort of like beneficial mutations that had driven evolution, and we've gotten to this state from being not so smart. Now we're a lot smarter, and in a similar way, this is deviance could be viewed as, well, in a good sense, it could be viewed as a good mutation of psychological nature, maybe philosophical evolution. Who knows? And my son is about to.
Hi guys.
Curious at what I'm doing. Anyway, that's my son Hennison. Not all deviance. I'm not saying that everything is good. Not all deviants are good, nor are they all bad. Some deviants, I think I mentioned in the paper, United States founding forefathers were all pretty much deviants, because back in the olden days, the normal was to be loyal to the king and just kind of fit into your caste system, your class and whatnot, but they refused to do that, and they rebelled for whatever reason, taxation or whatever. However, if you think about it, the Constitution that they wrote is one of the most revolutionary documents. Back in the 17th century, you could not, well, I guess it would be 16th century, you would not find anything near that progressive in any part of the world. Pursuit of happiness was not something that anybody considered a good thing. Here in the United States, we decided that that has to be one of the most worthwhile pursuits, and so we put that in our Constitution. And freedom of speech, that's an amazing concept in itself. But being a deviant, that definitely was a sociological deviance in a way. Today it's looked upon as having been beneficial and a good thing, but back then it was totally different. As the textbook points out, deviance is hard to define, and it has to, you have to take into account the time, space, and occasion and whatnot, and I totally agree with that. Deviance is not something that's easily recognizable or classifiable. So I appreciate that about our text. And what's the best way I think we can deal with deviance? I agree with what was it, Goodman? Was it Goodman? I think it was Goodman. His talk on the death penalty and whatnot, the lessons that we can learn from it. I totally agree with that. If we spent some of our resources in education, making lives better, or giving opportunities for those inmates, or even before they become inmates, and allocate some resources toward investing into their future, the disadvantaged people, their future, I think it would pay huge dividends. So was something like $15,000 invested today would equal $80,000 in savings later, because no crime would have been committed and whatnot. And I think those are pretty good statistics, good return on our investment. And besides that, I think crime is one thing. Accepting deviance for what it is and the potential benefits of it. I think we always tend to think about people who are luminaries or exceptional thinkers ahead of their time and whatnot, like Einstein or people like Galileo. I think Galileo was a deviant, but he was excellent, and I think we should accept them. The best way to deal with deviance is to accept them, even though it's not that palatable at the time. I think eventually we would learn to deal with that feeling of ours, and also if we can discover some of the benefits of what they were proposing or how they lived, that would be a great thing. I know for a fact that some teenagers these days are basically persecuted almost by their parents for playing video games and spending too much time on the computer. But if you think about it, if Steve Jobs and Bill Gates didn't do what they did growing up, then our world would be completely different. We wouldn't have these gadgets that we all can't live without. And writing program takes a lot of dedication, huge amount of time investment, and without those things, our world would be different. I think growing up, kids who are considered nerds are considered deviants. The cool kids, the athletes, those people are the ones who are more or less classified as being normal. But where do they end up later on in their life? Some of them are hugely successful, but a lot of them aren't. How about nerds and geeks? Most of them, I'm not saying everybody turns out good, but a lot of them do contribute significantly to their society once they finish their education and go through their adolescence and whatnot. And dealing with crime, I already talked about that a little bit. And on a personal level, if you live in an area where there are a lot of economically disadvantaged people, I think whoever becomes awakened first should take the initiative to try to help other people around them, instead of making their lives miserable, sharing things with them and whatnot. I think the world needs a lot more caring than more regulations and classifications. I think we need to learn to do away with more of that. Anyhow, those are my thoughts, and see you guys later.